One-man army is actually possible. Let's talk science. What's going on, guys? Welcome back for another episode of Let's Talk Science, the weekly show where I take your suggestions on scientific subjects, do as much research as I can, and get back to you guys every Saturday with information on the subject that you recommended. Now, this subject that we're talking about this week is cloning. Now, the textbook definition of cloning is, in biology, cloning is the process of producing similar populations of genetically identical individuals that occur in nature when organisms such as bacteria, insects, or plants reproduce asexually. And I know it's kind of complicated, so I'm going to put it in simpler words. Basically, it's a genetically created identical duplicate of an organism. So, I'm pretty sure you all know what a clone is. It's an exact copy of someone. Cloning has a somewhat large history, dating all the way back to 1885, when the first example of cloning was found in a sea urchin that demonstrated the first artificial embryo twinning, which a sea urchin it's a spiky little sea creature that lives in the ocean, and yeah, but it showed the first artificial example of a twin, which a twin is a clone. Just for those of you that are wondering, a twin is in fact a clone. It's a genetic clone. Scientists continued to test on reptiles and amphibians and fish and other simple things like that for over 73 years until in 1975 they did a test to create the first ever mammalian embryo. It was an embryo of a rabbit, and it was created through nuclear transfusion. Later on in 1984, the first sheep, which was the first mammal ever created, not just an embryo, an actual living mammal, the first sheep was ever created through nuclear transfusion. After that, they continued to work with mammals and create other things through nuclear transfusion. But later on in 1996, they created a sheep known as Dolly. Now, you may have heard this story before. Dolly was one of the first actually completely successfully cloned sheep that ever lived. Dolly lived for a while. I think she lived for a few years, and then eventually, I think the clone died, but I think Dolly herself lived for a while. She went on to be a very famous sheep for being the first ever mammal that was successfully cloned. And actually that next year, they actually cloned a primate. They cloned a rhesus monkey, and that was the first ever successful primate that they ever cloned. And I'm actually not sure how long that lived, but after that, they just continued to do research on like mice and cows and rabbits and sheep and monkeys and all that kind of stuff until in 2013, where they had the first successful clone of a human embryo cell, and they did that through nuclear transfusion as well. Well, technically, the way they created Dolly was by this process known as somatic cell nuclear transfusion. They used that same process on a human and created a twin or a clone of a human embryo. So by doing this, they can create a full-on human clone. And I'll explain why that's good and bad at the same time in a few minutes. Now, in most movies and other things where there is clones that they talk about, there's always an evil twin, an evil clone that somebody creates. They think it's good at first, and then it turns evil and tries to take over the world. Technically, that can't happen, because clones are an exact replica of the person that they are modeled after. So if the person themselves is evil, or if they have genetic badness in their family, not sure if that's possible, but if they have genetic evil running through their family, then there's a high chance that it could, because it'd be like a child, basically. So there's a high chance that it could be evil, but it can't turn evil without the host itself being evil. So you couldn't have a good guy, you couldn't have, like, some, like, nun be cloned, and the clone will turn evil and try to kill everyone, because that's just not how it works. The clone would be modeled perfectly after the original person, and they'd have the exact same personality. The clone could, however, be influenced to react in certain ways, as any human could be. Now, the only problem with this is cloning can be extremely dangerous. However, if it's harnessed by evil people, such as great leaders, and used to make armies of evil people, then it could be a huge problem. You can have an entire clone army off of one person. That's the original one-man army I was talking about. You can have one bad person and make an entire army based off of that person. Like if they took Arnold Schwarzenegger and they cloned him, made an entire army out of him, and somehow influenced all those clones to be evil somehow, which Arnold is not evil at all. He's like a really good guy. I don't personally know him, but I've heard he's a really good guy. But if they cloned him and somehow influenced all those clones to be evil, it could be a big problem. I'm sure you could see why. So, yeah, just don't if you do happen to work with clones, don't let them get into the wrong hands, because it could be a big old problem, and then we have a big old clone army that we have to deal with. So, yeah. please be careful. That's about all I have to say about clones for this episode, guys. Now, I know that it's a really short episode. I know there's a lot more about clones I didn't really touch on, but I didn't have a whole lot of information because I was actually recommended the subject by a friend of mine, which he was supposed to be here hosting it with me, but for some reason he's not here. But, yeah, I know it's a short episode than you guys are used to. I know it's not as interesting as most of the episodes you guys are used to. But I agreed to do it. I thought it was a pretty cool subject. I hope you guys did too. Be sure to put your recommendations on different subjects down below. I will be sure to check them every day. Looking for you guys' comments, so be sure to comment often, like, share, favorite, do whatever you want. And go ahead and tell your friends about this channel. We could use all the help. We got 8 subscribers now. Yeah! But, yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. There's going to be links down in the description like crazy because I basically expanded the channel to like every social media site ever. So we have a Twitter, we have our Twitch channel for if you guys want to see if you guys want to see me play video games. We have my Black Blaze channel where I recently started uploading Storytime of Tamriel. You guys might like that if you guys like Skyrim or Elder Scrolls in general. So you guys can check that out. That's actually going to be my gaming channel, even though I can't upload gameplay on it. I'll explain why in that channel, so if you guys want to go check that out, I'll put a link down in the description for that as well. What else? I have my Twitter down there. I have Black Blaze. I have my Twitch. I'm going to throw a link down in the description for Evan's channel. You guys might not know Evan. He was actually supposed to be the one that's supposed to be helping me host this. He's the one that gave me the idea for the cloning. But I will put his link down in the description as well, so be sure to check him out. He's going to be uploading gameplay videos as well, and he'll most likely be the person I'm streaming with. But yeah, that's about all I have to say for this episode, guys. Be sure to do all that stuff I said before, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm out.